I have a big platform. I don't even have a small YouTube channel to tell you to go home and listen to. I'm just one man with a tiny, small voice. Tiny, small voice in a hurricane. But I recently realized something. It happened when I came upon a comment on a post. I believe it was on the Illinois 5150 or 5051 site. And it was from a person that was feeling what I think we all feel right now, a sense of helplessness in the midst of all the turmoil we see every day. And I responded as best I could, and I hoped it helped her. But it made me think about that helpless feeling, because anymore, I wake up almost daily thinking, carpe diem, seize the day. I don't even want to face the day. But I do, because I have to. I've heard it said that those in power, both sides, mind you, want to keep us fearful because fearful people are easy to control, and therefore we shouldn't be fearful. But I don't think that's quite right. I think it's all right to be fearful. I think it's all right to be afraid. But it's not all right to be timid. It's not all right to be timid. Stand up and say no. Stand up and say, I will not give up my country. I will not accept this. Come to these protests. Bring your friends to these protests. Call your congressmen. Have your friends call the congressmen. Light their phones up until they melt. Share your voices on social media pages and encourage your friends to do that. And if that worries you a little, if you think your friends or family might leave you or disown you because of your political leanings, well, I'm sorry to say that might be right. I've lost friends. I know people who've lost contact with their relatives, and that is sad. But it's not as sad as being huddled in a basement or an attic like Anne Frank because you have the wrong skin color, or you have the wrong religious ideations, or you have the wrong sexual preferences, or because you didn't stand and fight when they came after those people, and now there's no one left to come and fight for you. It's all right to be fearful and afraid. It's not all right to be timid. I'm sure we've all heard the old adage that courage is not the lack of fear. The lack of fear is foolishness. Courage is feeling that fear and fighting through it. And I'm here to tell you, I am feeling fear. I am terrified of what's going on in this country. And some of you may feel the same. But I also want to tell you, I don't like feeling terrified, and that terror is bringing with it anger. I am angry, I am furious, I am irate, I am livid. I'm almost 70 years old, and I am furious that I have to be out here fighting for democracy. I should be home playing with my dogs, or tinkering in my shop, or strumming my guitar. And some of you are older than me, and I'm furious that you have to be out here. And I'm furious for Bernie Sanders, God bless that man, at 83 years old, for having to transverse this country and inspire people and mobilize people. I am furious. And that fury, that anger, has given me the courage to stand before you today and speak about the realization that I had regarding a tiny, small voice. A tiny, small voice can... Well, let me demonstrate. I'm sure you all know how to respond if I were to say to you, show me what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
All right. That's not bad. And I snuck that one in on you. So let's do it again one more time, but this time reach down deep into your stomach, deep into your very soul, like you're fighting for your democracy and your country, because believe me, you are. So, show me what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
And is that not a beautiful sound? And that is the sound of what? A little over 100 people? You know.
Voice added to the mix. Here we go.
That is the sound of, at best, a few hundred people. So I would have you imagine, if you will, the sound of a few thousand tiny small voices and imagine the sound of a few 100,000 tiny small voices, and imagine the sound of a few million tiny small voices. Can you imagine? And if you're having any trouble, you don't have to imagine. I can tell you exactly what the sound of a few million tiny small voices is. The sound of a few million tiny small voices is the sound of a black man getting the right to vote. The sound of a few million tiny small voices is the sound of women getting the right to vote. The sound of a few million tiny small voices is the sound of the American worker getting the right to unionize. And the sound of a few million tiny small voices is the sound of the end of a 20-year-long bloody Vietnam War that took the lives of thousands upon thousands of brave American soldiers. And that was done during a presidential administration led by Richard M. Nixon, a warmongering Republican criminal that cheated his way into the White House. And you can make your own parallels with that. And that is the power of a tiny, small voice. So it's all right to be afraid. It's all right to be fearful. But don't let it make you timid. Let it make you angry. Thank you all for coming today. And thank you for listening to me. We are on the right side of history. And I am so proud to be a part of this. I'm proud of every one of you. And I am so very, very proud of every one of your tiny, small voices. Thank you.
Thank you, Vince, for those words. And again, we've got a sign-up sheet if anybody else wants to come up and get on the list. I want to say something. I know it's very intimidating to come up and speak in front of people, but I was in a meeting with Lieutenant Governor Andy Manar, and he said something that...
Like and subscribe for more.
He said, we are in unprecedented times right now, unprecedented